Did you know that you can actually use your intellectual property as collateral? Well, kinda. I'll explain. I'm Kalila Reynolds, and this is Money Moves JA, brought to you in partnership with Exim Bank's Business Advisory Service, giving you, the small and medium enterprises, the tools to grow your business. I'm joined again by Marcus Goff. He is the legal officer at the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, Jaipur. Welcome back, Marcus.
Thank you, Priya.
So can you really use intellectual property to get a loan?
Yes, in theory.
In theory.
Right? We're not yet at the stage where we see it happening much, but yes, since 2013, the government passed the Security Interest in Personal Property Act, we call it SIPPA for short, SIPPA, which was intended to open up the available forms of property that can be used as collateral for a loan. That includes IP, your trademarks, your copyright, your designs, your patents, etc., can be used, if accepted by a financial institution, as collateral for a loan.
So 2013, that's 7 years ago.
Yes.
Have we had examples where financial institutions actually did accept intellectual property as collateral?
Since 2013, I am not aware of it being generally acceptable, right? Reason being that we understand that there are some concerns on the part of financial institutions about, their ability to be able to collect on loans which basically are faulty. People have not been able to repay their loans. And so one of the concerns is how will we as the banks, they say, be able to recover on unpaid loans. And so we're now currently working on a project that we will have in the near future, an IP valuation platform or formula that we hope to use in Jamaica that will be accepted by the banks to have IP be generally accepted as collateral for a loan.
And now that brings me to my next question, because I'm here wondering, how do you even value your intellectual property? How do you know what it's worth if you wanted to present it to a bank or put it on your balance sheet? How do you know how much it's worth?
Right. Again, very challenging, and of course there are several answers to that question. The main methods used generally tend to be based on looking at the market value, or the income approach, or the cost approach, which again are general accounting principles that have been used for other kinds of assets. So for IP, if you look at, for example, the market approach, we're going to look at what is the net value of the asset on the market today. So that would then take into account the kinds of income being earned by the asset, right? In terms of the flows, whether it be for music, for trademark licenses, for sales, etc., and basically ascribe some value based on those current market values, right?
So that's the market value method.
Yes. I mean, it's not, again, perfect because we don't have a market in Jamaica where there is a wholesale buying and selling of IP, like we do, for example, cars. So if you have, for example, a loan based on your car, you default on your loan, the bank will sell your car. They pretty much know how much they'll get for it. For the IP, because we don't have a lot of buying and selling, it's not easy for the banks to necessarily know how much they'll recover on the open market for the sale of your IP. And so that's part of the problem we have currently.
So what are the other two methods that you mentioned?
Right, so the cost approach would be based on the cost that the asset was purchased or sold, or the cost that the owner puts on the asset. So again, if you are, let's say, an artist, you have a piece of artwork that you've done, you can value it at $500,000, right? That would still not be connected to the market. And so they still have that problem of how would the bank be able to guarantee that they will be able to recover anything near that on the open market. And so that approach also has its shortcomings.
So that would be how much you would sell the item for?
Yes, how much you put at the cost of that
And there's
item.
a third method. What was that one?
The third one is the income approach. Income approach now is where you'd have to show to the bank, yes, all of your revenues earned. So let's say you have a portfolio of copyright works. You are an artist, you have 10 songs out there. You can show that you have been earning twice per year for the last 10 years, X amount of sums of money you're being paid as royalties, for example. You then use that to show that this asset is earning X amount of money for me per year, and therefore its value is going to be calculated based on the cost and the value of its earning capacity. And so that one is probably, I would say, more practical for us in the marketplace. But still, we'll have to work out with the banks what kind of safeguards they would want to see before they feel more willing to lend on that kind of asset.
So, can you put your intellectual property on your balance sheet as an asset?
You should do so. Not only you can, you should do so because it is an asset in its own right, right? Of course, the value that you put there, yes, will have to be justified based on all these methods, but still, you're entitled to do so because it's going to be a separate value from what, for example, is your physical stock, right? Let's say you own a manufacturing business, you're producing fruit juices, right? You'd have stock in the plastic bottles, you have stock in the juice and the equipment and machinery, but you also have a lot of value in your trademarks that you have for your business, and so you should put it on your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement as well.
So, do I come up with those numbers myself, or who may I consult to try to figure this out?
Right. At present, I would say the best bet would be an accountant who is familiar with these kinds of assets to give a approximate value for you.
Unfortunately, in Jamaica, it's not used much, is it?
No, and so we're hoping with this new project that we have now in place that we'll have by the end of next year, an IP valuation framework that the banks can buy into, the BOJ, the Exim Bank, etc., as well as the creative industries, so we'll all feel more comfortable with that in place, hopefully by next year.
Okay, we'll look out for that next year and maybe we'll have you back on.
Okay.
So, in preparation for next year, Marcus,
Yes.
what can businesses do right now?
What they should do is to keep proper records of all of their IP assets. So firstly, I would probably say do an IP audit. Look in your business to see what you have as IP. List all your copyright works, your designs, your trademarks, your potential patents, so you know exactly what is your inventory of your IP. Secondly, I would say keep records. Keep records of your registrations, your income statements if you've received royalties, any license fees you've received, any costs you spend for your design and logo development and trademark, etc. Keep them so that if and when you want to go to a bank, you can show them all that you have to prove not only your ownership but your income from your IP as well.
I know in Jamaica the banks are reluctant at this point for the reasons that you stated, but internationally, how well is IP received as collateral?
It's growing. I mean, certainly in the US, it's much more accepted. So we see where banks, I think, are able to more comfortably lend because they can easily resell the asset on the big open market in the US. So what we're trying to do also as part of our project is to have our local IP be available on the open market so people can be able to see and buy and sell through some online means. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me, Marcus. In just a moment, we'll have a giveaway, but first, here's a quick recap of some of Marcus's main points.
Use the market value, income approach, or cost approach to value your intellectual property. Include your intellectual property on your balance sheet as an asset. Do an IP audit and keep proper records of all your intellectual property.
Time now for our giveaway question. Name one method of valuing your intellectual property. Comment the answer on Exim Bank's IG page, their Instagram page at EximBankJA, and you can win yourself a lovely prize. That's it for this episode of Money Moves JA, brought to you in partnership with Exim Bank's Business Advisory Service. Check out their website, eximbankja.com. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Till next time.